Hi, I'm Cody, and this is Aurora. You don't get to speak.
I'm Aurora. Hi. This
Okay.
is Cody.
Poetic justice. Today, it is Pride Month. It's also Pride Month other days, but specifically today is also Pride. We're going to talk about being asexual, because I am one of those. I have the shirt to prove it. I have to T-pose to get it correct. And then this is also purple.
I'm also wearing black and purple because I am also within the ace umbrella. So let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Let's get down to details. All right. We've got this is business to defeat allonormativity. That's not even the right word, but you know what? Who f***ing cares?
Today we kind of have decided to split this into 3 sections. We wanted to start with each kind of talking about when and how we figured out we were ace, and then get into why asexuals are valid in the LGBT plus community, and then also just kind of talk about some of the questions that we've been asked during our lives as identifying as ace, and just kind of clarify some things for those people who might be well-intended but confused.
Yeah. I get personally like why you would be confused by it, because like it's such a central part to people's lives that if you don't do it, if you don't experience this specific emotion, like rage at the dog playing with their squeaky toy, like I'm feeling right now.
She's perfectly centered though.
She knows how to work the camera. That came out wrong. It wouldn't be a special interest video without us getting sidetracked in the first 2 minutes. Part 1.
Yes.
What was it?
When and how did you realize that you are asexual? Our microphone's not plugged in.
Oh. That's probably important to have it plugged in. Hello. Welcome to Asexual SMR. That's what the A in ASMR stands for. The AS in ASMR is asexual. Asexual meridian response.
Alright, welcome. Hope we're
Alright, that is our second sidetrack of the day. We're keeping it on the board. Prin, I'm busy bearing my heart and soul, and you're playing with your red panda squeaky toy. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell at you.
She's fine with you doing something. The second that I talk like a Spartan, though, she's terrified.
You should have seen her when I talked to my Scottish accent. That also freaks her out.
Oh.
I think she's just xenophobic. Pran, can you take that to the other room, please?
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go to the bedroom.
All right. I like how we were like, all right, this time when we record a video, we're going to try and make it shorter. We're 8.5 minutes into recording, and we haven't done anything what we were trying to do.
Okay.
Action.
Cody, when and how did you figure out that you are ace?
Okay, so there were definitely signs for me. It took me a lot longer than it should have. Back in like 7th grade, being like, I should look at people's butts. That seems like a thing people do. You gotta laugh on camera, okay? You can't just laugh and then go off camera. It's worthless. Another thing was somebody was messaging someone. I think it was also like 7th or 8th grade, and they were like, "Do you think about it often?" And I'm like, "What? Well, what do you mean by it?" And they're like, "Sex." And I'm like, "No, not really. It's not gonna happen for a while, so there's no real point thinking about it." That was my logic. Another example, later when I was 16 and very lonely, people did not want to date me in high school, which I mean, understandable. Imagine me, like the same amount of energy, the same amount of just like, but none of the punchlines land. I've learned how to be funny so that way I didn't have to stop being annoying. Anyway, I was 16, and I was texting somebody. I was gauging their interest in stuff, and they were like, I'm more of a friends with benefits kind of person. This is the logic I used. I haven't been in a relationship before, and I don't want this to ruin the expectations of any future relationships I have. That's not a normal thing for a straight person to think. Fast forward to college. I was in a very brief relationship. It was the first one that was any sexual in nature, anything more than just a simple, like, kiss. Mm-hmm. And I remember just being bored out of my mind. I was just so bored. The first time we did stuff, I was like, well, that was boring. And they were very upset. Oh, yeah, I very much regret saying that. The second time, they're like, oh, how was that? And I was like, about the same.
Like, it was okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I really should have figured this out sooner. And also, I really wish me figuring this out hadn't come at the cost of this person's self-esteem. If you somehow see this in the future, consider this my apology. What?
It's starting to feel like an apology.
This is not an apology video. There is just an apology in the video. Yeah. When I started dating Aurora, and we started doing stuff, unnamed things, and I felt similarly. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, it might just be me. So, I realized it. I came to terms with it because I was already considering potentially being asexual beforehand. Like, I knew about it somehow. I'm not entirely sure how I knew about it. And then eventually I came out to you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, that's basically the story for me. Aurora did not dump me. Almost did, for some reason. Who could dump this? Now, on to our main story of the night, Aurora.
For me, I didn't realize until I was like 23. It's kind of weird because I had a lot of signs up until that point. Like, some of the early stuff very similar to Cody. Like, when I was in 6th grade, a boy asked me out, and I turned him down because I was like, this'll never last. I don't care about this, right? Which at the time I was like a very reasonable thought, but then I like hear more stories from other people, and I'm like, maybe that wasn't the norm. And then in like 8th grade-ish, I remember talking to a friend, and I was like, well, I need to get a boyfriend. And she was like, what, why? Because I haven't kissed anyone, and everyone else has. Like, in my head, it was all about this, like, fairness.
We must redistribute the kiss distribution. Equal kisses for equal work.
Yeah, in general, I was kind of a late bloomer. I wanted to do a lot of the things, mostly just because everyone else was doing it, not out of any real desire to, like, kiss somebody or have a relationship. Starting high school, I had my first, I'm going to put relationship in quotes because we were together for 3 days. And it ended, and I was just kind of like, well, guess I've had my first relationship. Also, so, like, when it comes to, like, dreams and fantasies, for me growing up, the first one that I had, I think, was about a crush that I had in middle school. And it was like, we had a really good conversation.
I'm wet with knowledge.
So, and then the next one I had was several years later, and it was Janelle Monáe and I were getting married, and we tap danced up the aisle. That was, like, my next, like, fantasy dream, Also, when I got to college, I was part of this group called Students for Choice that I was really involved in. In that group, it's a very sex-positive environment, right? It's like, it's okay to have sex.
And that was our main problem, because we're both very Catholic. No one should ever be allowed to have sex under any circumstance. No, this is a lie. Do whatever the hell you want.
I would talk to my friends in that group, and I'd be like, I don't think I feel the same way. Like, I've never really wanted this thing. And I was kind of told that, well, it must be your Catholic background or your abstinence-only education. I'd be like, no, like, I grew up atheist. My parents are atheist. And they taught me about safe sex. Like, I had abstinence-only education through school, but at home it was, like, very open.
I mean, also your parents were like, here's how to be a lesbian, because we're pretty sure you're a lesbian. And I mean, I'm still not convinced that you're not a lesbian.
My parents thought I was lesbian. I thought I was straight because I didn't think it was an option to be bi, so I was like, since I'm into boys, I must be straight. I think being asexual might have made it harder to realize I was bi, because my friends would ask me, like, well, do you have these kinds of feelings about girls? And I was like,
oh, yeah.
no.
That'll do it.
Because I don't have those kinds of feelings about anyone. When I was about 23, this is the kind of the thing.
You're skipping over me coming out to you.
Yes.
Is that important?
Cody came out to me, also in college. And that was when I was kind of made aware of it. I had a friend in middle school and high school who did openly identify as asexual, but I think because I only knew one person, I thought that it was either something that only they did, or that it was such a small group that I would never possibly be a part of it.
Or at the very, you wouldn't meet another one.
Right.
That's not how small groups work. You're not like, oh, this group was so small, I'll never be a part of it.
But, yeah, so I just thought that, like, oh, well, I know one. That's my ace friend. I'm not the ace friend, you know? So, but then when Cody came out to me later, it kind of opened up this whole, like, I started looking at the I think it's the Avon forums, because I was trying to understand you better, and I got kind of a better awareness of it being a community, right? Like, it's not just, like, 3 people in the world, you know? Because I wouldn't have met 2 of them.
You just have very weird luck.
There's only 3 asexuals, and I've met all of them.
Us and then our one friend. We're the only asexuals. If you are also asexual, I apologize. No, you're not. And to all the other asexual content creators, I'm going to expose you guys for just being liars.
Throughout college, Cody and I went to a couple of, like, asexual support group
just like,
meetings.
Yeah, ace club.
So I just got to meet a lot of people, and I was like, these people are so fun. And at the time, I was like, I wish I could be ace so that I would have, you know, I could be part of this community, but I'm not.
Yeah. That's one thing that most people don't tell you, is that asexuals are just some of the nicest people.
They're so freaking
They're so nice, and the only thing that you can do to piss them off is be a gatekeeper.
But then a few years later, it was actually kind of the light bulb moment is, and it sounds silly, but I reopened a DeviantArt account because I was getting really into making art again, and I was like, well, I'm an adult this time. I'll have the adult settings on. Oh my god, like, there's so many naked people on here. I've always been one of those people that, like, when there's a sex scene in a movie, like, even The Fifth Element, like, that little scene at the end, I'm like, Nope, I'm just gonna close my eyes so that it kind of looks like I'm still watching, but just squinty, but actually I'm just, like, not looking.
I was gonna say, pretend to go to the bathroom, but then I'm like, wait, no, they'll get the wrong idea.
So, like, there's all these naked people on DeviantArt. I just have to go back to the kid settings. Like, I don't want to look at all these people. And I was talking to my friend about it, and she was like, well, is their underwear area at least nice? And I was like, that's not a possibility. Like, it always just looks nasty. And she was like, no, like, some people have really nice, you know, blanks and blanks. And I was like, no, nope. Wait, maybe I'm ace. And after, like, kind of brewing on it for a month or so, I kind of tentatively came out to the people close to me.
I didn't hear anything about this. No, I'm kidding. We're pretty close, I think.
Yeah.
We are married.
I think,
so.
I mean, you've been through some of it with me.
Yes, no, I know. I'm just telling you, we can't have an extended period of time with no jokes. Okay, that's what people are here for. They are not here to learn.
So I kind of tentatively started identifying as, like, gray asexual, because I was like, I think I still feel some attraction to, like, very particular actors or fictional characters, like people that I'm not close to. I was aware of, like, the sexual and romantic attractions and aesthetic attraction, which is just when something looks pretty, like a landscape.
Or me.
Kate Blanchett or whatever.
Or me. Please say me.
Or Cody. Anyways, on YouTube, I watch a lot of, like, kind of movie review people and a ton of queer people. I went through my list of people that I follow, and I could find, like, 3 of them, I think, that were not somewhere in the LGBTQ. And one of them I was like, I think he might be, and just, I don't know yet. The one that I was talking about was T1J, because he plays D&D, and I do not know a person in real life who plays D&D and is not somehow queer, but, like, totally valid whether he is or isn't.
No, we're going to take away his D&D card if he doesn't come out in the next 6 months.
Oh my god.
I love
be one of those people that forces somebody to come out so that they can do something.
One, I would like never seriously do that because that is a terrible thing to do. People deserve to come out at their own time. But 2, it is very funny to do that because I have absolutely no power.
Basically, this person got recommended to me, David J. Bradley. I started watching a lot of their videos, and there's this one about all the different kinds of attraction. All of the ones that you might feel between yourself and another person. So there was sexual, romantic, platonic, aesthetic, and then the one that I was missing, which was sensual attraction. So the way that they explained it, it just like suddenly clicked for me that the stuff that I've been feeling this whole time that I thought was maybe sexual attraction is actually sensual attraction. Like, I have dreams about, you know, me and Kate Blanchett, like, on a coffee date holding hands. And so that is more of a sensual and romantic attraction there. For the longest time, I was like, well, maybe this, like, wanting to hold hands and cuddle and, like, be physically close to somebody is sexual attraction, but it's actually more sensual. So that just, like, kind of completely validated my identity as an asexual person. Like,
we'd love to see it. I think most ace people can relate to this, and also aro people as well.
So much of it is, like, people telling them that they're missing something, missing a piece, and they don't feel like it at all, right? Because it's just how they are. And Cody's taking apart the puzzle that I'm putting
it was really cool sleight of hand. Can we get an instant replay on that with, like, super cool music?
Okay.
Thanks, future Cody.
So, yeah.
You're the best.
Cody was 19, I was 23. We had some similarities and a lot of differences in how we kind of figured ourselves out. But we are both asexual. Okay.
They have a different kind of dungeon in Germany. It's a sex dungeon.